What is up, golf fans, and welcome back to another episode of Fairways and Dreams. It's time for another two-man scramble, or in this case, a three-man scramble, as I bring in two gentlemen who own the company Fairway Threads. We have Alex and CJ. Alex, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. How about you, CJ?
I'm doing well, Jeff, man. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for having us on.
No problem. I'm glad that you guys decided to come on, and you all caught my attention because I saw on the Instagram you guys followed me, and I checked out your page, and I was like, holy crap, they're not located far from me in terms of their home base. And so I wanted to have you all on, not just to pump up your product, but I've had a lot of people on this podcast that have their own brand. They're trying to start an apparel company of some sort. And I think that for me, it's always interesting to know the story, not of the business, but of your relationship with golf, because everyone finds it in a different way. Some people are born with a club in their hands, and some people they had kind of adapt and get into the game later in life. Alex, we'll start with you. What was your story with the game of golf?
So I was a baseball player my whole life. I played indie ball. That's how I met CJ. And I never really tapped into golf until baseball was over, because you always had that cliche as the golf swing ruins the baseball swing.
Right.
I never really picked up a club. And then when I did, I had that horrendous 300-yard slice that I'd aim far left in hopes that it would slice back to the fairway.
Yeah.
So then once I was done playing, I kind of just tapped into it and got obsessed. And it's probably consumed more of my life than it should.
So what age do you think ballpark were you when you got the bug to really start to golf more?
Probably like 22, 23. I'm 30 now.
Okay. So, all right, fair enough. So I've had a lot of people on the podcast that learned the game later. And I would say that, 22, 23 is later. You didn't grow up with the game. How frustrating was it for you to go out on the golf course, especially an athlete that's a high level athlete like yourself, and struggle in what seems like a simple game?
Extremely frustrating, because one of those things, like, at least for me with baseball, if I felt something wrong, I could fix it because I knew what to do. With golf, I couldn't tell you how to fix it. I tried every quirky thing possible, changing my grip, changing my stance, aiming more left, aiming more, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it rip, and we're just going to play this until we finally figure it out, and maybe I would invest in lessons.
Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I did. I figured it out maybe about 2-3 years ago when I started actually playing like almost 4 times a week.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
CJ, what's your story with the game of golf? How'd you get started?
Oh, it's funny. So I grew up, my dad was an avid golfer. I mean, we're talking about, skipping out of work to go golf kind of guy. Hey, I need to take a sick day, and, mom's coming home with a little bit of an attitude. Dad's on the golf course. So, obviously any excuse he had to get out there, I was able to kind of reciprocate that a little bit too as well. He was bringing me out there ever since I was little. I had my own clubs and everything too as well. So the journey was a little bit different than Alex's, right? Same kind of upbringing too. Multi-sport athlete, played a lot of baseball. I think baseball is my niche, obviously, considering we both played pro, but my dad would take me out a lot. I think it's a very common problem in most baseball guys where you get that hard slice to the right. But, to be honest, I really didn't care. I just wanted to see how far I could hit the ball. Obviously, the ego is there early on, and you want to see how far you can hit it, yada, yada, yada. I didn't really care about scoring. I just want to go out there and swing and have a good time. So, obviously, the further I got in my baseball career, the less I played golf. Until like the off season, obviously we have a standing joke with a lot of pitchers because they have a lot of time on their hands. Given I was a catcher, the pitchers always go golf all the time. They're the ones who are the best golfers on the team, the blah, 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 blah. So, obviously that kind of stuck a little bit. You hear a lot of trash talk in the bullpen pregame. I bet your golf game sucks, like that kind of stuff. So, that drove me a little bit to obviously want to practice a little bit more, but I still sucked. It wasn't fun until, obviously recently, but yeah, man, outside of that, Alex and I met in Joliet. And that's when I decided to golf a little bit more after my baseball career. I feel like that most baseball players kind of pick that up anyway. But it was the same thing, trying to figure things out. Little kinks here and there that you try to fix, but still kind of tough. But outside of that now, Alex and I have been swinging something our entire lives. So it's easier to adjust if we know what's going on. And I think that's where, we're we're driven now for the game of golf a little bit more now because we're studying the game. We're trying to better our obviously the experience on the course, right? Nobody wants to go out there and pay $150 for a round at a nice course and shoot 150,
Right.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to shoot what you're paying. So, and, in other regards, some places are $60, but outside of that, I mean, yeah, just the love of the game and being able to kind of just focus on something that's a challenge still, because it's not easy hitting a ball that's standing still, which is kind of shocking to me considering our career. But outside of that, yeah, man, just a lot of fun. Love being outside. Just the whole purpose of the sport's just a good time.
Yeah. Now, Alex, I'm curious. So you started the game later in life. Do you carry a handicap? And if so, what is it currently?
Last time I checked, it was around like a 10.6.
That's fantastic. If you're talking about when you started late in life and you had the big banana slice and all that fun stuff and you're at a 10.6, that's impressive.
Yeah. But
have you
get it twisted, I will still throw around every now and then up there.
Now, have you had any formal lessons?
I took in the summer, actually, before we did a golf trip out to Scottsdale, I went out and did like 3 lessons. It helped, but that was probably the worst golf I've ever played when I went out to Arizona. Cause they say once you fix stuff, and then when we got back, it all started clicking again. And then now I'm in a rut. So,
okay, good enough. CJ, what about you? Do you carry a handicap currently?
Yeah. I'm slightly under him and I'll always carry this, even though we've tied the last 2 times we played. We shot well. Can't say we played bad, but I carry it like a 10.2.
Okay.
I've scraped under a 10, but that was only like for like a few weeks, and then it back up to a 10 because you have those nosebleeds, so it's always fun. But yeah, carried a 10. I would like to say I'm a 10 handicap, a little bit more consistent than not consistent, which is nice. So yeah, man.
Fair enough. CJ, I want to keep it with you here. The question is, you guys are high-end athletes. What was your frustration level with the game of golf? Because like you said, I mean, I went to school and graduated and we did perceptual motor learning classes. And we talked in those classes about how baseball by far is the most difficult sport when it comes to you're hitting a circular object that is moving. Everyone's loud and raucous in the environment, and you have to adjust to us moving or being thrown at you. Meanwhile, golf, everyone's super quiet. You're hitting a stationary object with a flat object, and yet it's more frustrating. It's more difficult and challenging. I guess my question for you is, how frustrating was it overall, just trying to hone your golf game while still playing baseball?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, right, the frustration comes from not being able to hit it straight. I think that's being able to do that it's by far one of the hardest things ever. But line up 1,000 people and ask them to hit a golf ball straight, I guarantee you, maybe 1% of those people will do it.
Yeah.
So obviously that comes frustration. I think a lot of it too is just the mental. I mean, that I feel like that is regurgitated in every sport, right? I think, right before we came onto the call, we're talking about Justin Fields, the Steelers, the Titans. Unfortunately, I didn't say anything about the Bears because I didn't want to, if you know what I mean. But I mean, outside of that, I think it's just a mental aspect of the game too that you have to control. You have to hone that down. I think, a nice controlled swing. It's not easy, being a bigger guy too. Things feel a whole lot lighter. You feel like you can hit the ball a whole lot further, but I feel like that gets you in a whole lot of trouble. And I think that's one of the hardest aspects of the game alone, is just making sure you have a nice, smooth, controlled swing. So spent a lot of time working on that. And it's, golf is 20% effort. The rest is mental. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me.
What about you, Alex? What about your frustration level trying to be a high-end baseball player and yet you can't hit this little ball where you want it to go?
Mine's definitely the consistency. Like, you'll have a hole where everything's working, and then the next hole, it just blows up. And then you're trying to figure out, oh, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
My hands were here. I went too far back. My tempo was off. And then am I hitting too much of the ground first? So it's one of those things for me, at least. I'm a very much of a mental person. So if I feel like something's off, then everything's off. And then I got to start from square one again and figure out what's going on. And then I get frustrated because then I start thinking too much. And then the round just goes completely berserk.
Yeah. It can unravel quickly.
Very
You golf enough, it doesn't take much. You could have the best round of your life, and then the back nine comes, and you wonder how you ever learned how to play this game. But let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the business. So y'all started this company. I just want to know, where was the genesis of the company? What made you to decide you know what? Let's get in the golf apparel game, which is becoming a very saturated market. I actually prefer to support people like yourself than say Titleist or some of these big name brands because, well, I feel like I'm, supporting small business rather than the conglomerates. But whoever wants to answer that, go ahead. What's the story behind your company, Fairway Threads?
Yeah,
So
Jeff, I'll hop in. I mean, basically, so technically, randomly one day I reached out to Alex and I was like, "Hey, man, would you want to start like a golf apparel company?" And it took him a little while to reply. So I figured, all right, maybe he's just not in. And then he finally responded and got back to me. I was like, all right, cool, I'm down, but what's the name going to be? And I was like, I don't know. Like didn't do much research behind it. It was just more like a, thought on the wall for a second. And I was like, Ace Apparel. And he was like, dude, that name sucks. And I was like, okay, cool. Back to the drawing board then. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, we obviously, I think that the biggest thing that started this whole process was obviously the friendship that we had, right? We played pro ball together in Joliet. I mean, we're the two rookies on the team too. So we went through a lot of different stuff that other people didn't really get to experience in the clubhouse, being the two rookies, even though Alex may not admit to it, but he was the one who started most of the trouble in the locker room when it came to the whole hazing aspect. But yeah, man, we got things going. Obviously, I came back to him with a better business plan too as well and said, hey, let's call it Fairway Threads. Designed a logo shortly afterwards. And then I think, probably 3 or 4 days straight, him and I were staying up to like 2, 3 in the morning, just developing the business, like really just trying to get after it. Came up with the logo, started looking at manufacturers. And I think, to be honest, Alex was the one who pretty much kind of discovered the first couple of manufacturers that we decided to work with in the process too. So he, obviously he was a huge asset to the start of the business, in my opinion. Great business partner to work with too as well. But outside of that, we just started developing, started creating a little bit more. I found that I have a niche for, web design, doing more logos, that kind of stuff, Adobe Illustrator, video editing, a lot of that stuff. And Alex has his niche with the social media and working, front lines with you and like dealing with our customers too as well. So, I mean, outside of that, I think this partnership has kind of grown too as well, just developing the brand and trying to find new ways. We get paid to create and be innovative, right? So I think that's a huge part in why we put our brains together, and we both have completely different thought processes. You should hear one-on-one meetings. It's a lot of butting heads and, kind of yelling at each other and hanging up and picking back up and be like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. Your idea is kind of cool, so, that's developed a lot. It's probably just as hard as hitting a golf ball, in my opinion. But outside of that, I mean, wouldn't want a better business partner outside of that, so that's pretty much how it started.
That's awesome. So Alex, real quick, what year did it start? And why golf apparel? Like, why did you go there? Like, that's a great story that CJ just shared, but why golf apparel? Like, that's always fascinating to me. Why people that put their time and effort and money into creating gear for golfers, like, why did you guys go down that avenue?
So we started in 2023. It's actually funny you say that because that was kind of my first reaction to the CJ. I was like, why are we going into a climate where there's so many companies?
Yep.
And who are we to make up this brand? And people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy their stuff. Like, why are they going to buy our stuff? And the main thing would be like, we sat there and was like, it'd be cool to go out to the golf course and wear your own stuff. And then people take notice of like, where'd you get that? Well, it's our brand. Oh, it's your brand. Yeah, this is our brand. We started this. And then you just kind of like grow from there. And then just the whole reason for the golf thing was we started submersing ourselves into the game of golf.
So how's it been so far? I'm starting a business is not easy.
Yeah.
Success is, like I said, it's a super saturated market. And so how has it been so far? Alex, I'll let you go and then I have a follow-up for CJ. How's it been?
It's been it's definitely eye-opening of how it all works. And it takes time to grow. I have CJ there to calm me down. So I'm like, why aren't we making sales today? We only sold this many. He's like, you got to be patient. Like, it's got to get out there. So now it's starting to take off a lot more now that we're doing a lot more with our products and our social media is growing. It's kind of funny because with us being on the East Coast, our number one supporters are the fine people of Utah. They
Nice.
take to our stuff like no other. Like, we are shipping stuff out to Utah probably every other day. I don't know why. But the people of Utah love our brand. And then obviously North Carolina is our second closest. But yeah, we're doing pretty well. We actually have, this is one of our new golf hoodies that we're dropping hopefully this week. We just got in today. And then as well, we dropping our like quarter zip too. Got a little design. And then we just introduced a new Roadrunner logo where there's a store behind why we added that to it as well. But yeah, no, I mean, business has been good. It's fun. Every day it's a challenge to get new people to notice our stuff. And that's where the social media comes in.
Yeah. Now, CJ, when you guys decided to go into this realm, you're dipping your toes into these waters. You have to separate yourself in some way, shape, or form. There are some people that they're all about the quality, like the product you're going to pay for, which might be a substantial amount of money, is going to be high quality. There's other people that say, I'd rather lessen the quality, but give it to you at a reasonable price, regardless of what it was. What was, in your opinion, or what is, in your opinion, the differentiation between you and all the other apparel brands out there?
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, I've actually listened to a few podcasts of yours already. And I think the biggest thing, and it's very common in some of the podcasts too, as well. We want to bring high quality gear at a low price. We're not trying to compete with Peter Millar. There's no way, being a brand new company, that we're going to be able to create that kind of demand, and especially being direct to consumer. Right. So I think that was a big thing for us, is trying to make sure that we can hit a solid margin, right? You don't want your margins to be skewed a little bit too much to where you're spending X and only receiving Y, right? So, bringing that in where we're still making profit, but also making it a fair price for the consumer, because golf isn't cheap, right? I mean, you're adding clubs, you're adding golf balls. Obviously we're providing hats and stuff too as well. But I mean, outside of that, there's so many different accessories that you can utilize and get your hands onto as well. And we wanted to stick out against our competitors that way, right? I think another big brand that's doing really well that, we're in the planning of reaching out to is Tacoma Golf, right? So, with the same kind of business initiative that they have too as well, I feel like a lot of those businesses are excelling, and we're not going to be far behind. So, I mean, that's pretty much our strategy behind Fairway Threads.
Yeah. So, Alex, if you were to have a vision board for your company and your long-term vision, is it to just stay in this space of hats, shirts, hoodies, stuff like that? Or do you envision yourselves going into other things and other aspects of the game of golf? I'm not talking about equipment, but maybe other accessories. Like, what is the long-term vision for Fairway Threads?
So the long-term would obviously be to get like head covers out there. Like little gadgets that every golfer loves to have. And that's something that CJ has really tried to push on me, is getting head covers out there. But right now it's more of, we started off making hats. That's our thing. We love wearing hats. I wear hats every day, and you can get super creative with the hats that you make. So obviously with the vision board would be to eventually get cool head covers, maybe do a golf bag. Adding some stuff, like we did a golf towel for the first time, just adding some extra flair that people can add that's not just worn but can be held.
That's cool. CJ, anything you want to add that's coming up with Fairway Threads? Anything you want to promote or anything like that that's coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm actually, he sent me something the other day with bucket list golf trips. They have a pretty big impact on Instagram right now and have a decent sized following. So he sent me something. I actually reached out to them 2 days ago, I want to say it was. And they bought a house in Pinehurst. They have a par 3 course in the backyard.
Oh my gosh.
And they're doing like a huge giveaway for, I think it was like 10 contestants or people who just reached out to them. So I, obviously reached out and said, hey, would love to do some business with you. And, obviously if I'm not fortunate enough to be able to be one of those 10 people, I would still love to, partner with you, kind of do a collab and see what we can do. And he immediately reached out, said, hey, we would love to have you on. We're shooting our own content, so it'd be free content for you and your brand. Obviously, we're going to bring stuff, with the new releases and everything too. I think it'd be perfect timing for it. So that's one of the big things. And I know we're in the process of dealing. I work at Cisco, the IT company too, as well. I'm an account manager there. So this is my side hustle that I'm trying to turn into my hustle, if that makes sense. But we're actually one of the sole sponsors for Cisco golf tournaments through their like Life Connections gyms and everything too as well. So we've been doing that for the past like 2 or 3 years. We actually just got I actually got an email probably about 15 minutes ago in regards to them wanting us to sponsor 2 more events too as well, at like very prestigious golf courses. So
Awesome.
we do a lot of like custom towels and like accessories like that too as well. So I know you'd mentioned that. But yeah, we do like magnetic towels and we customize them fully for the event, and they're pretty much like one of one for the customer. So yeah, a lot of different exciting things ahead, obviously material wise too as well, but we won't get too far into that one yet. Got some cool stuff.
That sounds great. I like to ask all my guests, and CJ, you said you listened to a couple podcasts. I'm sure you heard this part of the show. It's a rapid fire segment where I ask you all questions about your game, your thoughts on the game of golf. And so we're just going to have some fun here. If you want to take your time, you can. If you want to just answer quickly off the cuff, it's up to you. And we have had some people say, can we come back to that question? In which case, that's okay. Y'all ready for this?
Fire it up.
All right, we're going to go Alex and then CJ. That's the order of operations here. So Alex, first question. If you could choose, so you have the opportunity to ride in a cart or to walk the golf course, what are you doing?
Oh,
That's a good
can I
one.
ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
What's the weather like?
Beautiful day. Whatever your favorite golf weather is, that's the weather.
I play better when I walk, but I have more fun when I ride. So, I mean, I'll probably hop in a cart.
Okay. CJ, what about you?
Just because I haven't done it yet, I'd walk a course, especially a nice one. So
Yeah.
You
say you've never walked a golf course?
never walked a golf course.
Oh
ever.
my God.
I think we had one scheduled plan. We scheduled a golf like trip down here. He was going to come down. We were going to walk Finley, UNC Chapel Hills golf course.
Mhm.
But yeah, that never happened. We ended up playing at Duke. So
Fair enough. All right. Next question. Alex, what's your take on music on the golf course? Yay or nay?
Yay.
You like it. Okay.
Fire it up.
CJ, what about you?
I'm the Bluetooth speaker man. That's
Uh-huh.
I gotta have it. So
It's funny how some people you would think they would say yes, but some people like the quiet, the serenity of the game. And so everyone's different, but you guys are both in. That's fine. Baseball players are known to be a little superstitious. I played baseball through high school, and I would say that I was superstitious in a way. Do you all have any superstitions in golf, Alex?
Yeah, when it comes to the driver, tee it up, twirl the club, step back, take 2 practice swings, go up to the ball, stand there for maybe a second, just let it rip.
Okay. But you have to do that every time.
Every time I get on the tee box, that's what I have to do. Yep.
and by a second, you would almost think you're asking a rapid fire question. That's how fast. So
Yes.
All right, CJ, you have any superstitions out there?
100%. There's no white lines to step over on a golf course, obviously, but outside of that, I mean, anytime I'm prior to a swing, I'm a tap the ground 3 times to the club head, put it in the opposite hand, twirl it, tap the ground again, set up and swing. It's just a lot. It's like I mean, you play baseball too, right? Like it's just like tapping the plate or doing something in the lines or drawing something. It's just something you have to just. It's got to be common. It's got to, So
I knew the 2 baseball guys would have some superstitions in the game of golf because there's people that say, "Oh, I don't have anything." I mean, shoot, I have to have my ball repair tool in the one pocket, tees in the other. Like I'm super. It's got to be the right way. But okay,
I think
that's great.
Everyone has a thing in golf, whether they want to admit it or not.
That's true. I think that's fair.
They may just not notice that they do it every time, but everyone does it.
Yeah,
agree 100%. All right, guys, what is your favorite golf movie? Alex, start with you.
Oh God, probably Caddyshack.
Okay, CJ.
Yeah. I'm an Adam Sandler guy, so I gotta go. I gotta go with Adam Sandler in this one. So Happy Gilmore for sure.
Y'all looking forward? Do you looking forward to the second one? Happy Gilmore too?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if they can remake the greatness of what that movie was. I don't know. You know how second movies always end up.
It's a classic.
I'm scared because I love the first one so much. I'd hate for the second one to be absolutely awful. But some of the cameos I've heard of being in the movie, I don't know if it's going to be bad. It could be pretty good. All right, guys, let's talk about what's in the bag. Alex, what kind of clubs are you repping right now?
So I got the Stealth Plus driver, and then I got the TaylorMade Sim 2 irons, and then the Vokey wedges.
All right. What about your putter? What's the flat blade?
It's a Tommy Armour. I'm not going to invest money in a putter. I'm still going to 2 or 3 putt. So that's my logic right now. But I do want to get a new one. So
okay, CJ, what's in your bag?
I'm a Ping guy, so I have the G425s. I ventured outside of Ping and went full Cobra with my woods and my driver. So I have an LTDX driver. And then I have the Arrow. Oh boy, the Arrow something, the Cobra Arrow something, Aerojet.
Okay.
3 woods. So, and then the putter, I have a ping. It's a bladed ping. So I'm a big fat grip guy too. So got to have a fat putter.
All right. So let's go to Alex. What is your biggest pet peeve in the game of golf?
Slow golfers.
Okay. Just pace of play.
Pace it like it. I get it, but let's play ready golf. We're not out there, I play a lot of muni courses out here. So, there's some people that are out here taking their sweet time, lining up putts. And then you watch them putt. And like, you would have done the same thing if you wouldn't have lined up the putt. You probably would have had a better chance if you just would have went up there and hit it. So, but yeah, pace of play is definitely my pet peeve.
I know those courses that you're talking about, and I've experienced that firsthand.
Yes.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. CJ, what about you? Biggest pet peeve on the golf course?
It'd probably be the guys who play the loud music on the golf course. I'm joking. But I would probably say pace of play too. It just gets you out of your rhythm. That's a big thing for me. I don't like to think that much or just sit and dwell on, bad shots or whatever it may be. And the longer I sit there, the easier it is for me to think about the previous shot I just made. So I would most definitely have to say pace of play, or Rangers who think they're Army Rangers. So
I get that. I get that for sure. All right, we got 2 more for you. The next one is, what, in your opinion, is the worst rule in the game of golf? Like the rule that you say, good Lord, why is this even a rule? Alex, what say you?
If you hit it outside the white stake, out of bounds, just hit it.
So you mean if you can find it, you should be
if
able
you
to
can
play
find
it?
it, just hit it. Just let it rip.
Hey, I've had people on this podcast. I said this myself. I think that in amateur golf, all white stakes should be red. So if you find it, unless it's in someone's personal property, then you should be able to hit it. You just can't ground your club. And if you don't, you can just drop it near the hazard closest entryway. But still, I like that. CJ, what about you?
I would most definitely probably have to say the probably the same thing, to be honest, because the drop rules are different, right? Especially with white and red stakes. But I mean, I can understand why, because it's a more or less around scoring, right? But there's guys like Alex that like to shank it to the right still to this day, that do struggle finding their golf balls, and outside of that, I mean, it's fine. But I mean, he's a big put in the pocket, drop it on the ground, oh, I found it kind of guy. So
100% every time.
But I'm joking. But yeah, I would probably say the out of bounds rules.
Okay. All right. So last question. I always finish up with this one, and you are baseball guys, so you might already have this answer, but it might be different because it's golf. And that is, if you could pick a song as your walk-up song to the first tee, like you did when you were playing and you got to pick your walk-up song as you went up to an at-bat, what song are you playing? Alex, we'll start with you.
Oh, this is tough. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be something country. I'm not trying to get too hyped up, but
Right.
I want to be in my element. That I don't know what country song to go. Just probably any country song. Maybe something with Cody Johnson, but I don't know. I think if I put on some kind of rap song, I'll get too fired up and I'll just let it rip, and that's when the slice really comes out.
So, is there a Cody Johnson song in particular that you
No,
would play?
probably anything with just him.
Okay.
But it also depends on who I'm playing with. Like if I'm playing with CJ, I'm not putting on country music because he won't listen to that. We gotta put on some EDM, like we're in Jersey, fist pumping kind of music.
Oh my God, Jeff, don't let him lie to you. I'm the true Southerner here, so I probably know more country than him, so it's fine. But I mean,
all right. So CJ, what's your walk-up song to the first tee then?
Well, I can tell you it's not going to be country. But yeah, I'd probably do Big Papa by Notorious B.I.G. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, it's amazing to me when I ask this question. I've asked this question to every single guest I've had on this show since I started the podcast in November of 2023. And I have had people that you would think they're going to go the country route, and they bring up some 80s rapper that they would play. And then you've got some people that just want an easygoing song because they don't want to get too hyped up. Like you wouldn't want Rage Against the Machine playing as you pull hook one into the water off the first tee or something like that. So I always like that. It's always fun. And I always share those songs when I share the podcast on my Instagram stories as well. So you all hear those. But all right, guys, I want to give you a chance to plug your website, social media handles, anything that's coming up. Alex, I'll let you go. And then CJ, you can finish up with anything else you want to add.
Yeah, so our website is fairwaythreads.shop. And then you can just follow us on Instagram at fairway_threads or on TikTok it's fairway.threads. But a lot of our stuff that we do is going to be shared through Instagram.
Okay. CJ, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think he knocked it all out. I mean, just obviously in closing, we appreciate you, Jeff, having us on the call and being able to kind of discuss all things golf and a little bit about our upbringing too, as well with the game of golf. So, and frustrations. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, most definitely super excited to continue this, obviously this relationship. Let us know, send us your information too, as well. We'd love to send you some stuff out too, obviously as a appreciation to you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Alex is off far from me. Might be teeing it up together once get rid of this freaking snow, and maybe we'll get out there and golf.
I'm so ready for it to be gone because I got to get back out there.
Hey, man. So guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Fairway Threads, go check them out. But in the meantime, we'll be back next time on another Fairways and Dreams podcast. Take it easy, everyone.
See ya.